Hi, everyone. So today I want to talk about what I call the three waves of medicine. The first wave is indigenous medicine, and that's the medicine of the ancients, and that's what I call medicine of experience. The second wave is the wave that we're in at the moment, and that's driven by conventional science, and it's what I call the medicine of experiment, as opposed to the medicine of experience. And the third wave that we're just touching into now. Third wave is where the medicine of experience and the medicine of experiment come together. And interesting enough, it's driven by quantum science. So third wave still has a science base to it, but it understands and respects experiment, experience, and I will come to that because it's such an interesting place to be in at the moment. But in today's talk, I really wanted to focus on indigenous medicine because it's a medicine of experience. And remember, experience is incredibly valuable. And while in today's medicine we tend to negate and bypass experience for experiment, nevertheless, the indigenous medicine, which covered thousands and thousands of years, was incredibly successful. If you think about the one that I know about is traditional Chinese medicine. I mean, I've brought it up before. It's thousands of years old. First textbook was written, I think, early BC. And the way it was practiced wasn't really schools. It was practiced by individual practitioners and students going from one master to another master, collecting information and experience and developing their own particular technique. But nevertheless, that was amazingly successful, and thousands of books have been written over the last 1,000 years at least, that you can pick up in any Chinese university which devotes itself to traditional Chinese medicine. So, in fact, when I was there in China, visiting one of the older professors who still practiced in the old way, he had himself written 5 small little booklets. They weren't thick, very thick, but they nevertheless had about 80 pages each. 5 booklets on one acupuncture point. Acupuncture point right at the back of the head called gallbladder 20. 5 books he had written. How to use the point, how to use needles, how to combine it with other points to get different kinds of effects. So how did they get that? How could he write 5 books on one acupuncture point? I mean, it's just there. And yet they had collected information, serious information over many, many, many years. So that kind of experience shows you how valuable it is, and why we need to be really careful in dismissing experience, because traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture works. And there are hospitals today in China where they practice traditional Chinese medicine fully, where patients get a bottle of tincture every day to drink. So there's a lot of wisdom in it. I can remember so many years ago when I was chatting to a professor of mathematics. He had written books on maths. And I said something to him, and he said to me, "Bernard," he said, "what you've just said has got nothing to do with science." I said to him, Hans, his name was Hans, German. His name was Hans. And I said to him, "Hans, if your relationship with your wife depended on science, you wouldn't be able to have one." And he just looked at me and he said, "Oh, no, you're right." So all of us, even today in the modern world, we don't only rely on experiment. We rely quite seriously on experience in our relationships, to our partner, to our children. We need to use a certain quality of experience. And experience has to do a lot with feeling. What do you feel? a student of modern Western herbal medicine, spent some time with an indigenous healer who was a good herbalist. And they went out collecting herbs. And they came to this valley where there was a profusion of these particular herbs that they wanted. And this healer said, let's sit a moment. And so they sat 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And the Western herbalist said, why are we sitting here? We've come to collect the herbs. And the indigenous healer herbalist said, we need to get the permission from this valley before we can enter and collect the herbs. And then 10 minutes later, he got up and said, okay, now we can go. So they'd sat outside the valley for at least half an hour before they were given permission to go into the valley. And now you think, oh, that's ridiculous, eh? But let me ask you some questions here. When you're sitting in a restaurant, for example, and you're looking at the menu, how do you make a decision about what you want to eat? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you go on a whole range of inner processes, getting a sense of the feeling of what would be best for you in that moment, what would taste the nicest. So it's not just a question of science, it's a question of feeling. When you go and buy clothes and you put something on, you know, it's how it feels. What makes it feel good for you? The other day I threw out a shirt, just a t-shirt, but it doesn't feel good for me when I put it on. I don't like it. It just doesn't work. So, yeah, my thinking mind could come in, but it's still quite new and all that kind of thing, and there's nothing broken about it. But no, my feeling self said, doesn't feel good. So there's a lot of ways we actually don't use scientific thinking only. We go on our feeling. And when you buy anything, or the way you put your furniture around in your house, it's not just based on science. You don't make calculations about it. There might be some, but a lot of the time it's really based on something much deeper. So we need to recognize that this indigenous understanding, this way of operating in the world, is not really strange to us. The whole day we are making decisions based on feeling, not on thinking. So this whole relationship in thinking and feeling is an interesting one. And the whole basis of the medicine of experience is based on feeling. But it shows you how valuable it can be. Most information we have about herbs today is not based on actual science. It's based on the collection of information that the ancients and even more recent herbalists have put together based on experience and the way it seems to work and the feeling that they have about it. And so there is this whole range of understanding that we have, and we need to begin to understand this because we use it all the time. It's definitely not. Even scientists in their work, they don't always write about it. They don't tell you that they had an inspiration, they had a feeling, and that's what guided them to do the work that they did, and how they eventually came to whatever results that they had. It wasn't just a question of experiment. There was also experience. And why the third wave will be interesting when I talk about it. Yeah, check yourself out during the course of a day. See how much of your day is based on so-called science, how often do you turn to science, and how often do you make decisions based on just feeling. Have a good day.